el exec, el exec. El Vélez, el Vélez. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 175 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Avelez Wasan. Beautiful Saturday morning here. So I waited this week because there was not a lot happening in the early week. So I kind of just put it all together into this episode. Next week, once Formula One gets ready, because Formula One is in Australia next week, we're going to talk about the Bahrain testing here shortly. We have closer and closer to MLB. Spring training is in full swing. Ohtani hit a bomb on his first at-bat. Bellinger hit a bomb. So we're back into the swing of things. Sandy Alcantara sitting 98-99, so we'll see how the former Cy Young winner gets along with the Marlins with a new skipper. We have NASCAR at COTA this week. I'm actually going to my parents' house after I finish the episode, to go see Xfinity of that. Christopher Bell won last week in a crazy race at Atlanta. He wasn't at the front at all race, and he came from the back after a huge crash at the front, sneaked through and got the checker flag on a green-white checkered after a pass. Kyle Larson was dominating most of the day. The Fords were dominant, Keselowski and all the RFK cars, your Austin Cindrics and your Joey Logano's, Chris, they were all like. Ford has shown that they have the speed, at least at these beginning first two tracks, but they haven't been able to win, and that's just how it goes in NASCAR. But Christopher Bell is once again into the playoffs, just like he was last year. He made it to the Final Four last year. I thought he was going to win the championship. I think he was really, really had the best shot, and then Blaney got up there and took it for the second time in a row. So that's on NASCAR side. COTA's going to be fun. I think that the guy to watch out for, of course, is A.J. Allmendinger, Van Gisbergen, Kyle Larson. You got your Ty Gibbs. You have your Tyler Reddicks. Christopher Bell's pretty good in road races. Of course, you got Denny Hamlin. You still got Kyle Busch. So you have a lot of Bowman is really good. Now Gregson's up there with the big boys. Hopefully he fights for at least like a top 10 or a top 5, because he's a good road racer as well. No Martin Truex Jr., so they don't have to worry about him. But they still have to worry about Chase Elliott. So I think that this is either a Larson track, a Shane Van Gisbergen track. Of course, AJ's always in it. But I could see a Toyota. I could see a Ty Gibbs. I could see a Tyler Reddick win this race. I could see a Chase Elliott win this race. It's going to be very interesting who can hold the speed. It's a very fast track, very long. It's a Formula One track. Really fun. But I think I got my money on Kyle Larson today. And if not him, I think that Shane Van Gisbergen will show out at the first road course of the season in his brand new full-time NASCAR ride. Okay, so that's for NASCAR. In the Combine, I'm really annoyed that basically every single star player at their position is not doing the Combine. Cam Ward ain't throwing. Shador's not throwing. Travis Hunter already did not work out. Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan, didn't work out. Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, didn't work out. You're looking at it, got Abdul Carter didn't work out. Mason Graham didn't work out. He just benched. We're talking about the highest of the high. Will Johnson didn't work out, the cornerback from Michigan. I don't know if Ashton Genty will work out. One can hope. The combine actually starts at 1 today. It started at 3 the last couple of days, but today I think it starts at 1. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, it starts at 1 today. We have QBs, wide receivers, and running backs. So we have the ones that we want to see today. One thing about the 40s that I saw, tight ends are slow this year, like really slow. Fastest tight end was a 4.64. That's pretty, when the average tight end speed in the NFL last year for guys that was in the top 5 in receiving, in receptions was 4.61. So very slow tight end group. That's not including close to Loveland and Tyler Warren, of course, but that's what we got. Another thing I noticed, very fast cornerback group, very good cornerback group. Maxwell Hairston hit a 4.28. Makuba looked great. Will Johnson obviously didn't work out. But the cornerbacks look very, very solid. It looks like a very good cornerback group this time. I'm not saying there's nobody in there like Quignon or like Cooper DeJean, but there's definitely some good talent in there with Barron, Will Johnson. Of course, you got Travis Hunter. So a very, very good cornerback group, very good safety group. Aminwari from South Carolina just stole the show. Jumped 43 inches, ran a 4.4. It might have been a 4.3, 4.38, I think. At massive size, extreme ability, looked smooth in the route, in the drills, just athletic freak. Maxwell Hairston did really well. Barron did really well. Makuba looked good. So Mohammed looked good from he was the transfer from Washington to Oregon. He looked pretty good. So the cornerback group looked well. The linebacker group looked well. Stutzman, they got Jack Sawyer. They all look pretty good. JT did not participate. I don't think JTT from Ohio State, he did not participate. Burke looked good. Denzel Burke, the corner / safety, he looked good as well. The D linemen are very, very deep, extremely athletic, very powerful. No Mason Graham, of course, in the workouts, but people did show out. It was really, really James Pierce ran a 4.4. James Pierce Jr., the edges, showed out without no Abdul Carter. Didn't matter. No Jalen Walker either. But they were very, very, very solid. So the combine has been going well, but today as we get quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs, we'll see if Ashton Genty runs. Haven't heard anything about that, so hopefully he does. We have only Luther Burden of the top wide receiver class is gonna work out. I don't think Tetaroa McMillan is working out. Neither's Travis Hunter. Gotta see if Emeka Ibuka works out. The two Texas guys though, Bolden, Isaiah, he's gonna Isaiah Bond, he's gonna try to break the 4.21 for Xavier Worthy. He says that he has a shot at it. He might go 4.20, 4.19. That'd be crazy. I didn't think that there was another guy out there in the next 5 years that could probably touch that time, but we'll see. And I'm really excited about Golden. I think he's going to probably show out the most, besides Luther Burden from Missouri. And then as for the quarterbacks, you're going to see a Jackson Dart. You're going to see Jalen Milroe. They're going to be the talk because there is no Cam Ward. There is no Shador. You're going to see Kyle McCord. You're going to see Riley Leonard, and we're going to see what these guys can do throwing the football. We're going to see how they process their footwork, accuracy, and really get a baseline, especially for Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, who's probably the most natural thrower of the bunch, maybe Kyle McCord to some extent as well. And then I think Will Howard will also be there. We'll see, and Dylan Gabriel as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how those quarterbacks do. The running backs, Omarion Hampton, hopefully he runs. Ashton Genty, hopefully he runs. I think he's a good shot to go 4.3 speed, maybe even low 4.4s or high 4.3s. Omarion Hampton has some speed. Very, very deep. Very, very deep. Dylan Sampson's probably not going to run as fast, but have a good. Travion Henderson could probably scare the 4.3s. Quinshawn probably be somewhere in the 4.4, 4.5 range. So I'm very excited to see the running backs as well as the wide receivers. And the O-line is on Sunday, the day that, there's a lot of sports activities and people don't want to see fat people, So that's for the combine. As for free agency, the first domino fell. Stafford has re-signed with the Rams. The terms on the deal are not public yet, but Ian Rappaport reported about 10:30, 11 o'clock while Pat McAfee was on the show, was doing his show right before the combine started, that Matthew Stafford indeed fielded offers and something the Raiders had something on the table. But when he went back to the Rams with that offer, the Rams said, hey, this is your home. You don't want to move again. Of course he doesn't. He has his kids. He has his wife. He has his life there. He won a Super Bowl there. He's going to go down as one of the best Rams quarterbacks of all time, right behind Kurt Warner. So, and he's going to go into Canton. So they just probably gave him a deal that was semi-close to it, more than the $26 million that he was due this year, probably somewhere in the 40s, maybe somewhere about 42, 43. I think that Stafford would have been like, okay, I'll stay for that and finish my career out here. He's still elite. He still throws like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Just got to shore up that offensive line a little bit more. It's young. I think it'll get better. That defense is insane. They're going to add to it in the draft. Need another definite number 1 receiver. You got Puka, but if you put another number 1 over there, that would be ideal. But that's the first domino. So now that Stafford is at the Rams, now we immediately turn to 2 guys, Aaron Rodgers and Sam Darnold. I think more Sam Darnold than Aaron Rodgers. And then at a lesser extent, you look at Kirk Cousins. For the teams at the top of the draft who necessarily want to pick something else. For example, a Tennessee Titans. Would they go after Aaron Rodgers or Sam Darnold in order to pick a Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter? A Cleveland Browns saying that they want Cam Ward, but they go out and get a Sam Darnold, and then they could take their pick between Travis Hunter and a guy like Mason Graham or a offensive tackle. On the same coin, you have guys like the Raiders who are maybe in talks with Aaron Rodgers. Don't know nothing yet. He'll be on the Pat McAfee show next Tuesday after he comes back from out the country from his vacation. And if Tom Brady goes after Aaron Rodgers, then what are you doing with that 7th pick? Are you going defense? Is Mason Graham there? Probably not. Are you taking Will Johnson? Travis ain't going to be there. Or are you still going to take, if you get Aaron Rodgers, would you still take Shedeur Sanders to develop him alongside Aaron Rodgers and then have the future there ready when Aaron decides to leave in a year or 2? We still don't know if Aaron's going to play, but this is basically saying, inferring that Aaron will play. The next other stuff that needs to be done, of course, you got Debo. T. Higgins will be franchised, so he's coming back to the Bengals. He's going to be franchise tagged. Trey Smith got franchise tagged, the number 1 guard in the league, left guard in the league by the Chiefs. He got franchise tagged, so he ain't going nowhere. They're definitely working on a long-term extension. Darnold is the next domino to fall, so we'll monitor that as free agency gets closer in 9 days here. Now you're going to start seeing contracts be done, and people and teams really shoring up their roster, starting to really make their moves to set themselves up for the draft. the F1 Bahrain testing. We learned a lot. We also learned a little. That's kind of how it always is. In the last day, so we'll work backwards. So in the last day, Mercedes finished strong. Surprisingly, Alpine finished good. Red Bull still figuring out the kinks, but I don't think Red Bull's gonna have any real problems. I think they're still gonna be in that top 4 fight, but in Bahrain testing, it just didn't look like they were fully in sync, especially with Max. The first 2 days, didn't see him a lot. Liam Lawson looks good. The rookies look good. Nobody had like a crash. Nobody destroyed their car. When you're talking about Liam Lawson, Kimi Antonelli, there's more. Jack Doohan. I'm missing one. I'm missing a rookie. But so they look good. Haas looks like they've been working on the long run pace, on the heavy fuel load pace to keep speed up and not just be fast in qualifying. Aston Martin doesn't have the influence of Adrian Newey yet because he's working mostly on the 2026 car. That's why the move was made. But I feel like they are figuring out some things. Ferrari looks competitive. McLaren looks competitive. What I mean by that is like they could be fighting for the championship at the end. What's going to make or break for Lewis Hamilton or Lando Norris's chase for this championship, it might be their teammates. Oscar Piastri ran well. So did Charles Leclerc. If I'm being honest, I think that the favorite is probably Lando. But after Australia, we can really see like how the speed is being divvied up, what the skill is like in this. It's not a new car, but there's slight changes and they've changed floors and wings and stuff like that. There's other slight changes, technical changes. It's not like the car is completely new, but the way that Lewis over these past 3 days adapted to the car, got faster, got more aggressive. It bodes well for the future of this season for Lewis chasing that elusive and coveted 8th world title. It would be the first time that Ferrari wins since 2008, since Kimi Räikkönen won the last Ferrari championship in 2008. And for McLaren, it would be the first time since Lewis Hamilton won a championship in 2007, or 2009. Max is going after a 5th straight championship. Only one other guy has done that, and that's Michael Schumacher, of course, from 2000 to 2005. I like what I see from the grid. Next year, there's going to be 22 teams with Sauber turning into Audi, and I believe Cadillac coming in, and Honda as a full outfit, or Toyota. I forgot who it was that's coming in as a full outfit, but it's 2 teams, so there's going to be 22 cars on the grid, or 24. No, another team's coming, so there's going to be 22 cars on the grid. There's 20 right now. Another team is coming next year. I believe it's Cadillac. So testing went well. Nobody crashed. Everybody got some good laps in, 70, 80 plus laps every day. Cars were reliable-ish. Red Bull had a problem, I believe. I think Racing Bulls had a problem. But other than that, the cars were definitely reliable. They've been reliable for the last few years just because these technical regulations are kind of just honed in at this point, so they know what to bring in the car and how to not break it. But it's going to be very exciting. We have Melbourne upcoming this upcoming week. Champions League quarterfinals begin very, very soon. I think in the next few days, if I'm being accurate with that. Let me tell you. We already went through my predictions. March 4th to the 12th, so next week, Tuesday, Dortmund is at 3. You have Real Madrid at 3. Then you have Barcelona on Wednesday at 3 on Paramount Plus. So that's going to be very exciting. The Champions League quarterfinals, round of 16 is going to be underway. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about NBA. Okay. Curry drops 56 to lead the Warriors to a 7-1 record since Jimmy got there. Jimmy didn't have a good game, but Curry on February 27th, which he dropped his 54 against the Garden, where he finally announced himself in 2012, and then in 2016 in his unanimous MVP season, he drops the 46 against OKC with the shot of the double bang by Mike Breen. So February 27th, I don't know what it is, but he loves hitting more than 10 threes on February 27th. He hit a 12 against New York. He hit 11 against OKC, and then he hit another 12 against the Magic. They needed every single one of them. Paolo came out to play. He dropped 41. He went 12 for 20. He went 12 for 19 from 3. Curry did. Hit a half-court shot at the buzzer at halftime. It just looked like he was cooking. He was 19 for 25 overall. Super efficient. Just or 15 for 25. I forgot what. Let me see his box score. His box score was nuts. It was his 45th game, shooting over 9, making over 9 threes in a game. That is like by far more than anybody else. Lillard is the next guy with 14. But the way he did it is incredible. The way Steph is now free again is incredible. We went 16 for 25, 12 from 19 from 3, scored 56, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and nobody else really scored. You got Draymond with 12, Butler scored 5, had 7 assists, Pod scored 8, and then Quentin Post scored 18. Meanwhile, you got Banchero with 41 and Franz Wagner with 27. And that was pretty much it for them. In Orlando, really big win. It takes them to the standings. We go to the standings right now, and they are at 7, tied with the Clippers right now for that 6th spot. So if they can get into the top 6, avoid the play-in, then you got a real chance there. Because Curry and Jimmy, once they get to the playoffs, it's a different type of monster that you're dealing with, as well as Draymond. And Steve Kerr is a really good playoff coach. So you got Dallas at 8, half a game back. Minnesota at 17 back, just 1 game back. And then Sacramento at 17.5 games back. Phoenix is basically out of it. They're 3 games back of Sacramento for that 10th spot. The Lakers are 10.5 out of the number 1 seed, but they're only 1 game behind Denver for the 2 seed. Memphis is right there, half a game behind Denver, and Houston's just 1 game behind Memphis for the 3 seed. And then you have a 4-game gap from 11 to 16 games from the Houston to the Clippers for the 5 and 6. So if Golden State goes to the 6th spot, I don't know if making up those 4 games is possible, especially the way Houston's been playing. And the Lakers and Memphis. Luka turned 26 yesterday. He dropped 31. So they're playing really well, but Golden State definitely has a chance this year, and don't sleep on them. OKC still 48-11. They are 9.5 games up on Denver. Incredible 8-2 in their last 10. So is Denver. Lakers are 8-2 in their last 10. And 7-3 are Golden State with a 5-game winning streak in their last 10. Ant gets ejected, gets his 16th technical, gets suspended. They start talking about the face of the NBA. LeBron says that there's a weird energy around it because everybody that talks about the game talks shit about the players. It looks like Ant, even though he does the commercial side and has commercials and is like the pseudo face of the NBA, he doesn't want it. He just wants to hoop, kind of like a Kevin Durant. It is his favorite player of all time, so I'm not really surprised about that. But I feel like the face of the NBA is not picked. The face of the NBA is chosen based on who is having the most success in that era. If you look at when Curry started becoming a face of the NBA, it became after 2015 MVP and that championship. LeBron was the face of the NBA because he was the only chosen face of the NBA. Michael took it. Magic took it. Even though he was a number one pick. Larry Bird took it. Kobe took it. Kevin Durant in some took it. Even though he was also a number one pick. But you have to take that mantle. Also, guys like Jason Tatum, they're just not it. I'd rather have Luka as a face of the NBA than Jason Tatum because Jason is just too maligned. He's like a Tim Duncan. Even Curry has more energy than Jason Tatum when it comes to face of the NBA. He's just a father. He hoops. He scores 27 to 30, averages 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and goes home with a great team that is the favorite to win the championship again. That's the thing about the face of the NBA. This is not, you're the face of the NBA. No, this is taken. Okay, a guy like John Moran, if he wins a championship, he could take that mantle. A guy like Zion, if he figures it out, he could take that mantle. Wemby, of course, could take that mantle. But the thing is, also, the face of the NBA is always American. And with a guy like Luka, Giannis, Jokic, the next guys that come up in the American conversation are your Jason Tatums, are your Anthony Edwards, are your John Morants. Because Curry, LeBron, and KD are already up there. So for the next generation, you gotta hope that a Cooper Flagg this year when he comes out is that guy, or AJ DeBansta, a Ron Harper, So we'll see how that goes. But the NBA is really having a tough time having a next face of the NBA, and guys are kind of feeling kind of weird about it because of the energy around the title. Other than that, we can go through the NBA standings real quick. We have Cleveland 7.5 games up on Boston, but Boston Cleveland came back. So they faced each other. Boston was destroying them, and I guess Cleveland came back. I have to watch that highlight because Cleveland's on a 9-game winning streak, but they were getting smacked yesterday. So I have to watch that highlight. New York is just 2.5 games back of Boston for the 2 spot. Milwaukee is 5.5 games back of New York for the 3 spot. So I think that's where they're staying, even though Indiana's 5th is tied with Milwaukee for that 4 spot. Detroit is just a game back of the 4th and 5th spot. Miami is 20.5 games back, so 3.5 games back or 4 games back of that Detroit. So we might stay there. Orlando is just a game and a half back of us in 8. Atlanta is 22.5 games back, so a game and a half back of Orlando. And Chicago is 3 games back of Atlanta for that 10th spot. Philly's out of it, 28.5 games out of it, lost 9 in a row, 1-9 in their last 10. Embiid is done for the season. He's going to go probably have surgery again. It was a failure. I mean, the 2 biggest failures this year, I'm gonna give you the 2 biggest failures, and I'm going to give you the 2 biggest surprises. The 2 biggest failures are clearly the 76ers and the Suns. When you look at their rosters, the 76ers got Joel Embiid, MVP, Tyrese Maxey, an All-NBA point guard, and then Paul George, a future Hall of Famer, with a good coach, solid pieces around them. Can't even get into the play-in. Can't stay healthy. Paul George had a horrible season, one of the worst of his career. Tyrese Maxey is basically carrying the load by himself. When you go to the Suns, it is disappointing that that KD in his 17th year is averaging 27 a game on super efficiency, and you got Devin Booker and Bradley Beal basically not showing. I haven't heard anything about Devin Booker this year. Haven't heard anything about Bradley Beal this year. They have no big man. They start Bol sometimes. They don't. They can't figure it out. KD's leaving after this year. Where's he going? Maybe Golden State, maybe somewhere else, maybe Miami. We don't know, but he's definitely leaving the Suns. And it's just disappointing that this team could never figure it out after building this big three. They're way over the second apron in the luxury tax. They couldn't add nobody. They couldn't get Jimmy Butler. And those are the two biggest disappointments. The two biggest surprises has to be the Rockets and the Pistons. The Rockets are such a young team, but with Ime Udoka, with the defensive identity they have, and Amen Thompson, having a Jalen Green, having an Alfred Sengun, having a Tari East, and Cam Whitmore coming off the bench, you have a Van Fleet, you have a Brooks, you have the right amount of mix of young and veterans, with a great coach that is a defensive-minded coach. On the other side, you have the Pistons, which with Asar Thompson, Cade Cunningham, no Jaden Ivey, but you still have Jalen Duren. You Malik Beasley shooting the shit out of the ball. Beef Stew is incredible that Cade is finally able to show, after Monty Williams left and now with JB Bickerstaff, that he can now show why he was a number one pick coming out of Oklahoma State. The guy can do absolutely everything. He's named Motorcade for a reason. He can score. He can pass. He can rebound. He's a big body. 6'6", 6'7" as a point guard. You're not going to move him off his spot. Smooth jumper. Can play some defense, and that team and the Rockets are great defensively, great rebounding. And it's really surprising to see them, when you look at the standings, the Detroit Pistons are 6th, and it looks like they're going to stay there or even go up. And then the Rockets are 5th, and they could go up all the way to 2 if they want to, So really, 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 really encouraging to see these teams get back to the forefront. The Detroit Pistons are a historic franchise. So are the Rockets. You're talking about championships in the 80s, championship in the 90s. Championship in the 2000s for the Pistons. So you are talking about two franchises that really drive up ratings in the NBA, and when they're doing well, and it's very surprising and refreshing to see those teams up there. The last thing I'm gonna say is that Shohei still is a monster. I think Bellinger's going to be a great addition to the Yankees. Even though, if I was talking to this about this to my friend early, like a day ago, I was like, if the Yankees put Jason Dominguez and Aaron Judge in right and center, the only plus defender in the outfield you're going to have is Bellinger, who's a former Gold Glove at right field. So I don't know how they're going to figure that out. Not having a Juan Soto really hurts you at that point, even though he did play right field. So it's basically Soto for Bellinger. But Ohtani's going to be still great. First at bat, home run, just like Juan Soto. It's just, that's how it is, with those superstars. But I'm really excited to see the pitching. That's what I really want to see. I want to see Max Fried in the pinstripes. I want to see Garrett Cole, how he, Garrett Crochet, I want to see how he does in the Red Sox. I want to see Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki. I want to see Shohei, obviously. I want to see Paul Skeens, Corbin Burns with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think he's going to add such a weapon to that rotation as a number one, and then follow with Zach Allen, Merrill Kelly, and then Brandon Pfaadt. I think that's a great, and then Jordan Montgomery if he figures it out. I think that is a great 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So I'm very excited. I think Ellie has a good shot for the MVP this year, even though he is facing Juan Soto and Ellie De La Cruz, along with Ketel Marte and Francisco Lindor. I think that Ellie really wants and is primed in his third year to go after that. I think Bobby Witt's just going to have a great season. Gunnar Henderson got hurt, unfortunately, so we'll see what Jackson Holiday does this year. And then Vladdy didn't get re-signed, so he's going to go after probably, the biggest year he can have in order to get the biggest number next year from the highest bidders, from the Red Sox, from the Yankees. Dodgers might be in it. Who knows? And then lastly, this NFL draft coming up, it is not filled with blue chip players. This is a good starter draft, not a star draft. The only actual stars at the top of this draft, like you can put them day one and they're gonna be stars, is probably Travis Hunter, and it's probably Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Other than that, everybody else is an if this happens, if they land in this way. I think Tyler Warren is close to a blue chip player. I think Mason Graham is close to a blue chip player. Some of the offensive tackles, I believe they're close to a blue chip player, but some players can turn themselves into blue chip players. A Jalen Walker, a Teteroy McMillan. You can turn yourself into a blue chip player, but I don't think they are blue chip players right now. I think that's only Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Other than that, we will see how the quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers get along today. We'll see how COTA works out in NASCAR. Work our way up till Melbourne next week for Formula One. And see how the Champions League goes, and the NBA heading into the last 20 games or so, how it's going to shake out. A lot of stuff to happen in the West. A lot of stuff can happen in the East, but in a less extent. And yeah, guys, I love you guys. Thank you for all your patience. Thank you for all your support. I love you guys. God bless. And I leave you all with the outro.
El exec.